Oh.
Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. This is Ian Souza, founder of Healing the Global Village, owner of Global Firewalk Institute, and the creator to Soulful Mondays. And today, here, we have Dr. Coco Cabrel, and I'm so honored, truly, to have you here, my sister, and all your skills, and to all the viewers that are viewing now, that will see this later in the live YouTube stream. Um, let's just say like, wow, because you are amazing. I was able to be with you on a panel, and we weaved in and out of those rooms with Ignite Your Life with Katarina, who was our link, and what a beautiful day that was, a couple months back, right? And we had a lot of amazing guests, and so yes, I asked my assistant went, and she went right for you and said, let me reach out to Dr. Coco Cabrel. So the other thing to say, just a reminder for all the guests and your viewers, at 11:11, what I love about 11:11 is definitely my number, and also my elder Mary Court, who watches these. So I'm giving Mary a little shout out. She'll have something to tell me about that. She's been loving the YouTubes. Um, is 11:11 is it's a portal time, and of course we all just had 8:8 in the Lions Gate. And so, this is a time, and maybe we can even, expand on that, huh, Doctor, for a little bit for the people in these times that we're in crisis and lockdown and everything. So at 11:11, regardless of which one of us is speaking, what I love is we just take one moment, we'll hear an alarm, and we'll just stop, pause, and we have a prayer for humanity's soul. And, it's like, why not? That's what I say, why not? So I don't also, like I say, this is real raw and uncut. There's no editing here. I don't introduce you because we're in relationships. So go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are or where you are and what might you want to say.
Cool. And thank you so much, first of all, for having your assistant reach out and set this up for us. This is just such a joy to see you again after kind of all that time elapsed between Ignite Your Life and then today.
Yes.
So I'm just absolutely thrilled to be here. And again, just so many zillions of thanks to you and your assistant for doing this and for having me here. And also, I will say, before I officially introduce myself to everybody, I will say that I actually did a Lionsgate ritual last night. Oh my gosh, it was so awesome. So we can talk more about that if you'd like to. Oh, it was beautiful. I think it was pretty epic. It felt great. To just get rid of some stuff, and then kind of set some manifestation intentions. So absolutely tremendous. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So just to do the introduction, get it out of the way for everybody. I'm Dr. Coco Cabrel, also known as the Flamenco-Dancing MD. And yeah, and that was, I know, Anne, you were in those rooms when I was showing everybody like all the flamenco moves, and we had kind of a little mini workshop thing going on. And I know you were in those rooms, like doing the things, doing the moves, and so appreciate that. And I use flamenco. Because here's the thing. I have been a flamenco dancer for, oh my gosh, how long has that been? Oh, it's like over 25 years by now. And I've also been a flamenco professor, and I've been an anatomy and physiology professor, kind of on the sciencey MD side, teaching all that health science stuff. That's been 30 years. And finally, with the pandemic, combine the two fully. I've been trying for all these years, to combine the two, and sometimes I would make it and then get a little bit pulled apart, and then make it and then a little bit pulled apart. But yeah, with the pandemic, I finally was able to really pull the two together and really extract from the dance itself and the culture and the intention of flamenco and apply it to movement and exercise and fitness. And I also was able to reach more people, because everybody was like, oh, everybody's used to, right, like this, like Zoom meetings from anywhere. And so through that kind of little seed that I just sort of plopped out there the day after Thanksgiving here in the States, because we do have people come in from as far away, come in via Zoom, as far away as Australia. So United States, Thanksgiving, day after Thanksgiving, threw out that seed, let it plop in the ground, and it really has grown into more of a movement using movement, where people learn how to choose themselves. So it has gone so far beyond, just movement, just exercise. Oh my gosh, it's much more than that. People are really learning and incorporating it and manifesting into their lives, choosing themselves every day, every hour, every moment. So
okay, let's pause for a minute. We're at 11:11. Yep,
ooh, we're at
11:11. So
I'm going to hang on to my amethyst.
Yeah, we'll just do a moment here for the humanity. So.
Good.
Very good. Thank you so much for that.
Oh, so nice. So nice. I brought my amethyst, because I know you do this. So I brought my amethyst with me.
Beautiful.
So that I would be prepared. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So speaking of, a prayer for humanity, and tying it into what we were talking about before, and sort of describing how this movement started, and then has grown. Yeah, it's like each person really gets in touch with themselves and figures out, what do I need today to fill myself so that I can serve others, and tap into, the classes that I offer, and each person finding, well, what can I find in that class, to fill myself so that I can then, turn around and serve, whoever I need to serve.
Bring out love and service to the world. So let me ask you a question, Dr. Coco.
Yeah.
Did you also feel, I've talked to, many people, and, we all say the great 2020, for myself personally, the great 2020 was one of the most amazing homecomings to self. And I also felt a collective, in what I might say is the global comma, the global pause, maybe even 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, we would know that there was a particular group in a particular geographic area with a particular sickness, or illness, Ebola, or something like that. But this 2020, wherever, however, what all the tactics or whatever it's come about from it, how it was handled, how it wasn't handled, all of that. What I felt was a global synergetic connection of all of humanity. And one of my greatest lenses that I have is through the lens of my 88-year-old elder, Mary, the one I mentioned. In the elders, we've heard this from the tribal people of many different cultures about times coming. But she's a great lens for me to look at through and share. And the spiritual mentor, and she's been giving me for 35 years, is this particular 2020 time. I was able to, as a tantrika, as a yogini, to maximize the energy and go inward. So I love the fact that you're talking about this inner. And I think you also said that you've tried this before, but it just didn't seem to be connecting. So something in that synergetic global, we could say crisis or whatever,
Yeah.
because surely people have. And tell me what the view is. You're a doctor in what?
So I got my MD at Northwestern University's medical school, Feinberg School of Medicine, and I went straight into teaching, actually. And my first teaching job after medical school was artistic anatomy at an art school in downtown Chicago. Because, going through medical school, you go through all these rotations in the hospital, and to kind of learn everything, right? But also to try out everything and see, where do you fit in? What is your gift? What is your affinity, right? That kind of thing. And I hit senior year and I realized, I don't know what direction I want to go in. I had a little inkling that I liked OB-GYN, especially the OB part, right? The obstetric part. And like, I love delivering babies. Oh my gosh. And I also actually loved the cancer patients. There was just something about cancer patients and their energy that I was very drawn to. So it was kind of between those two, but I wanted to kind of step away from clinicals, and I decided to be a TA, a teaching assistant for the freshman gross anatomy class. Wow. For the fall, just to like clear my head,
Sure.
And I loved teaching. Teaching was never in my radar or anything. I never thought about it. But when I actually did it, that clicked. And so, yeah, by the time I graduated, I realized, one, I loved teaching and would love to do it. And then the other thing I realized, though, was that I still had a lot of creativity from being a dancer my whole life, and a performer. And, we performed professionally, my sisters and my brother and I, as kids. So that was in me. And I felt like I still had a lot to explore and a lot to do in that arena. And I knew, like, knowing myself, I knew if I went into practice, that would fall away. And I was like, well, that's not going to happen. So being able to teach all this content that I had just learned and loved. I love anatomy. I love physiology. I love the body, right? So all of that, like the neuroscience, I love all that stuff. So being able to teach that, but also being able to continue as a dancer sort of time-wise in my days, right? That started to work. And like you kind of reminded me, it's like it would work, the two would come together and I would be able to teach both at the same time, and then oops, I would get a little bit ripped apart, and then I would have another opportunity to teach both at the same time, and then one would take over, the other would take over. And I've really always been happiest when I've been able to do both at the same time. And so what you were talking about before about 2020 and the pandemic, and here we are over halfway through 2021, and we're still here. But I think we're here at another level, like we've kind of circled around and come up to another level. And I went inward when everything went into lockdown here in the States. And what I realized was, for so long, I had been working and teaching, and I'd been a professor and a department chair and all these things, right? And I had been serving, which is great. But I was always kind of answering to, well, what do they want? What do they need? Something outside
of you.
And ignoring, right? The key is that I was a little bit too much out there and ignoring, what brings me joy. I can provide joy, inspiration, knowledge, whatever you ask for, right? But what about me? And so I really did that 180 early on in 2020, and it took me probably the first half of the year to really figure it out. What is a way that I can still provide that inspiration and that joy and that energy and that uplift, but also give it to me too, do it from a place that was genuinely joyful for me.
That's the homecoming.
Yes, that was the homecoming. And I'll tell you something else to also draw in what you talked about our elders in this process. So the day after Thanksgiving here in the States was the day that I launched this. So my program is called Coco'sFlameFit. And I had been teaching sort of some, sort of pure flamenco dance classes over the summer of 2020, just reaching out to, some old students of mine from across the country. And okay, let's have some classes just to connect and just to have fun together. And, but then I really pulled together an idea that it had been cooking for like 20 years of, how can I provide this power? Because there's power in flamenco dance and flamenco culture, this power that comes from its own tradition, that I have nothing to do with the tradition except to pass it on. But there's this tradition of creating beauty from oppression.
Wow.
The caves.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it came from the caves of southern Spain in the Middle Ages, when immigrants were being pushed out by the Catholics coming down from the north. And so it was in these caves that this music and this dance and this song, it came out of there as their way not only to survive, right, like the basics of survival, but to actually flourish, to actually create something beautiful and transcend. And so it's very much like we have lived through in 2020 and what we're continuing to live through in 2021. It's so much of that. And I thought, wow, this is the time where I can finally pull it together and deliver it, this thing that I've been wanting to do for 20 years, which was, how can I deliver that, right? That power, that creativity, that digging deep when you're feeling oppressed, right? Yes. That digging
restricted, deep. Limited.
Right, exactly.
And what you're also talking about is this is the element of fire. It's like taking that element, that fire. And I was not aware that this was created in Spain, in the oppression, in the caves. I mean, but talk about like, you know, that basic fundamental survival of fire that can ignite, right? Spark, feed the flame, the spirit of God, whatever you want to call it, and then transmute, transform, transcend, and still have feel the soul, feel the self,
Yes.
feel that. And you know, when I look at you and when I first saw you in that panel we were on, what I came away with, and it clicked immediately, was, to me, it's like you're the epitome of the left and right brain balance, you know, because you have that clinical, you have that schooling. And, you know, I also want to just take a moment to really acknowledge and honor, because I have several doctor, nurses, friends that in their own way have left or had to reconfigure themselves. Um, you know, you listened, right? You knew that this child who was dancing and singing with your siblings, and that you weren't willing to, what I say on Soulful Mondays, usually at the end, is you weren't willing to sell your soul out for the title, prestige, the credentials, all of that. And that there's this negotiation. So for the listeners, the viewers here, as I say, is, you know, we can live in the world and we don't have to be worldly. And we can have all the things we want and desire, and our passions, our dreams, our visions, and we don't have to sell the soul. And, you know, it's, you know, so thank you so much for
Right.
listening. And you are like this contagious joy. I mean, you know, movement, you can just feel the prana coming off of you, my sister.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Thank
So
you for
I
saying
want
all
to
that.
make sure that these viewers, and I've even thought, okay, I'm gonna get on there and flamingo with her.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, we can definitely do some stuff now. So, you know, let's see. So talking about fire, and we can do like a kind of a flamenco hand thing that will like tie into the fire like right now and have everybody do it with us.
Beautiful.
But okay, so I mentioned that last night I did a Lionsgate
Yes.
ritual.
Let's talk about
And
the Lionsgate.
oh yeah, oh my gosh. So talk about fire. Oh my gosh. So let's see. I don't even where to start. So part of the ritual, I'll talk about the fire part of the ritual.
Sure.
So part of the ritual involved, because it was 8-8, right? Was on one, I did it on one piece of paper. 8 things that I wanted to get rid of, right? That I didn't want anymore in my life. So I listed those 8 things, and then on a really, really nice piece of paper, it's actually gold paper.
Beautiful.
Not like gold, but it's like the tone of it, and it's like all, you know, sparkly and stuff. So on this golden paper, 8 things, 8 specifically passions that I'm manifesting, like
Mm-hmm.
8 passions manifest.
Okay,
Not going.
so for the viewer, let's just, because I always like the guests to give a nugget of a takeaway. So for the
Okay.
viewer, what Dr. Coco Cabrel just gave you is, because the Lionsgate is going to be for the month here. We still have
Mhm.
weeks to go where
Yep.
we're in this resonance of Sirius and the brightest star and all of that.
Yes.
So what she just said to you here is take piece of paper, 8 things you want to transform, transmute, burn in the fire, release, let go. They don't serve you anymore, because evolution of time and space does that, doesn't it?
Mhm.
We you know, we move on to the next, and then this golden hue paper of your dreams, visions, passion. Is that what you put?
Exactly. Yeah, I specifically picked passions, 8 passions manifest. 8 passions manifest. And I was very specific about the wording, like of that title on that golden piece of paper. Not that I will manifest or I'm going to, because then that always puts it just beyond your reach, right? It was 8 passions manifest. And like you said, Anne, this gate, right? This gate is open for this month, these next few weeks. So this is the time when they manifest, right?
Yes.
So that phrasing was very, very specific. So that golden piece is on my altar, with my vision board, and the 8 things that no longer serve me, that I don't want in my life anymore, burned. Oh, absolutely magnificent. Burned it under that new moon.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Wonderful. And it I really, while watching the burning happening, really thought about those items and just let them, kind of go from that, again, that idea of digging deep and
yeah.
So I'll show you some hands that can go with that, because I just kind of did a little bit of it. But if you kind of sit up straight with your collarbones nice and lifted and get some air, you can work the air element in there, because we need air for fire. Get air under these arms, and then if you take your hands and your palms are kind of open and sort of scoop up, and then let's do this first, like kind of this is a warm up. Sort of circle the wrists around, and you can stretch out the pinkies and thumbs. And first, before we do the fire, we'll warm up our wrists. So just circle the wrists around and lubricate all those joints. Again, stretch energy, like imagine energy shooting out your pinkies, out your thumbs, and then out the other 3 fingers. And now once you've got the wrists nice and loose and warm, and you've got energy in these hands,
nice and lubricated, huh?
Yes, exactly. So now we can take these and we can sort of lift up the arms so they go all the way up overhead. I think it's coming out of my camera.
That's okay.
I'll keep them like right here so they don't totally disappear out the camera. But you see that motion is exactly what we've been talking about. So there's like this scooping. So I'm kind of scooping in front of my belly, right?
Which is your solar plexus, which is your fire. And the tantric, we call it the Manipura chakra. And these are also the places of all our relationships.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. So we can scoop, dig deep, and then get the wrist circles going, get the energy, whatever you've scooped, right? Shoot it out your fingertips, shoot it out those thumbs, shoot it out those pinkies as you bring the arms up, as high as they go. If they go up to eye level, that's cool. If they go all the way up over crown chakra, awesome. But this is also fine, right? Whatever works for your shoulders, right? And then whoosh. See, whoosh.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah, like all that kind of stuff. So that was last night. So empowering. Oh my gosh. It was. I'm not really a morning person. It was so easy to wake up this morning. Really.
Oh wow, beautiful.
Bam. Oh, amazing. Absolutely amazing. And really, I do say that as a non-morning, person. But plus I was excited to see you today. So there was that, but also, to touch on our elders, because you mentioned that as well. And I really do want to talk about and honor the elder women. They happen to all be women at this moment, but the elder women who are taking classes with me in the program. We have 3 women who are in their 80s. And you mentioned, that your master is 88. So our eldest is 87. We celebrated her birthday after class.
Oh,
I guess it was back in April. I think it was April. Yeah, after class, I always celebrate birthdays. And after class, had like, I think I had a cookie or a cupcake or something with a candle. Again, fire, right? And we all sang to her, and it was great. Like just on Zoom, but that's the kind of community that we've been building, and the community. I guess technically, I'm the leader, the instructor, the teacher,
sure. Yes.
whatever word you want to use. But those elders, there's so much of that soul that you mentioned, and the the nuggets of knowledge that they just drop, because we stay after class 10 or 20 minutes, and we have Q&A, or we visit, or whatever we do. And sometimes I do little mini anatomy lectures, or mini like flamenco culture lectures, or sometimes we just visit, because sometimes somebody is going through something extra tough. We've had people lose jobs, we've had people get new jobs, we've had people have surgery, we've had people have their kids have surgery, just all sorts of things.
Life situation.
Right, exactly. And so sometimes we just talk about that, and especially our elders will drop some kind of wisdom that's tremendous. One time I remember in particular, I happened to get a little bit kind of choked up about just things, and I was having a little bit of a moment there, and with some tears, and apologized like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, you guys, I didn't anticipate getting so emotional. And yeah, it was one of our elders who was actually one of the founding members. She's been there since that day after Thanksgiving. And she just kind of stepped in and said, look, Coco, you're allowed to cry. You can, take that moment for yourself, and you can do that. We're all here. We're all here for each other.
You're not mechanical.
Yeah, exactly. And wow, to be given that permission, especially as the person who, sort of started this whole thing and set up this whole thing. And, at the time, especially way in the beginning, thought that, I have to present, this persona. And, boy, that went away quickly.
And I think, that's actually a good point. And, thank you for expanding on the elder. I feel for myself very blessed. I have one elder. She's 77. She's my longest elder. She actually knew me when I was in my mother's womb. So I want to acknowledge Carol here as well. And then I have my oldest elder, who's been mentoring me for about 35 years. And that one I talk to probably 5 times a week. And, there's no agenda. We just go. And we know that we have like this soulful, amazing connection. And, also to go back to when you were talking about your Lionsgate ritual, I did mine at 11:11 yesterday a.m. and then 11:11 p.m. last night.
Yeah,
I have more to say. So for the viewers here, know that the Lionsgate, research about it, look it up. I have a couple postings to whenever we can get into the cosmos, the astronomy, the astrologics. It's not just you. It's not just me, it's not just Dr. Coco. There's many other energy systems at hand here. So when we look at our life and we say, okay, I'm not on point, purpose, passion, where are my dreams, my visions? Know that there are synergetically big things going on globally in the world. There's like a global consciousness that's occurred through this crisis. and we feel it. Sometimes the energy's heavy, sometimes it feels light, sometimes it feels mythical. But there are bigger factors than just what you are not or what you are doing every day in your life. There's energy systems here at hand. So why not? I mean, yesterday I was very fortunate with my master teacher who's in India. We did a new moon puja. So of course, I lived in India for 9 months, so I know the puja process. But this is times like what's happening in the moon. If the moon can move an ocean, then what does it do with 85% of us? Water,
Right.
So
Right.
just to know that, and also to, even when you were talking about the 8 things that you let go and how present you were with that fire in that ritual process, to know that these are from a place that you can release what no longer serves you from a blessing, a gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
It's the what I've learned over the years with this opening. There's many openings throughout the year. It's not just Lionsgate, astronomy wise, cosmic wise, astrology. And I'm not an astrologer by any means. I
Right.
just feel energies. But what I've learned is it's about energy, resonance, and vibration. And from a karmic perspective, thoughts create words, create action, create resonance, create pattern and behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
And therein lies the karmic journey. So if we do, I have a little program, it's called the 21-day mental detox, but just track your thoughts and your resonant and your vibration. And, again, when I look at you, I feel, there's a feel that I feel with you. It's a prana, it's a life force. So it's a good time for all of us in the crisis of lockdowns. Even when we look at, right, we know scientifically, and you could probably even expound on this from your knowledge scientifically, from when I smile, you smile, and then the whole room starts to smile. And that they say in the neurons, in the oxytocin, and the serotonin, and the cortisol, all this stuff in the brain, when we get to smile, there's something that can actually be lifted, even like a mild depression, right? And
Oh, yeah.
so for a year and a half, we've had this process. I remember going into a store and I was so used to this particular employee. She's beautiful eyes. But when I ever saw they took the mask off here in Florida, I was like, oh my God, it was like two halves of a person. And I said, look at your smile matches your eyes. And she was just brilliant.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, there is a lot of psychological stresses, happening right now.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And it's funny. So my classes are all delivered via Zoom, and they always have been because I started during the pandemic, right? And that's sort of like the key to the whole thing is, yeah, I deliver everything via Zoom, right? And you receive it, via Zoom. So those are our classes, and I record them and post them, in our little members website thing, so that people can access them if they didn't make it to class or the schedule didn't work or whatever. But the thing is, when I open up the Zoom session, like on my end, right? Like I start meeting, right?
Yeah.
Right before I hit that, I actually consciously smile, consciously, every single time, so that what you just talked about, that energy
Yes.
of the smile, right, goes into that pushing that start meeting button, and people receive that. And I'll tell you two other things that have to do with smiling, and you touched on especially one of them. At some point, I don't know, at some point over the past whatever year and a half, I happened to, I don't know, I think it was like an actor friend of mine was talking about, be sure that when you smile, you also smile into your eyes, like smile with your eyes. Otherwise, it looks like a fake smile.
And that actually hits the brain.
Oh, yeah. Oh, big time, big time. This is really where, I mean, of course, like you said, it's like that missing piece of the puzzle. Of course, people see the smiling mouth, right? But where it really like registers emotionally, is in the eyes when you see those crinkles, right? So the crinkles are good, actually, because then you know, like, it's genuine when you see the crinkles. Otherwise, and actors know because they work their facial muscles like in such great detail. But they know that if you don't have the crinkles, it's like a fake smile. And then something that my mom said, when I was in college and medical school. So I was at Northwestern in Chicago, and I grew up in New Jersey. I was born in New York, grew up in New Jersey. So my mom was, still in New Jersey. And so we would talk on the phone at least once a week. And she actually said to me one time, she said, I always love talking to you on the phone because I can hear you smiling.
Wow.
Yeah. And this was, of course, this was, 1,000 years ago, before we had, FaceTime or Zoom or anything. It was, a landline. That's all we had. Landline, with the coil on the thing and the headset. So this
dial up.
Like this actually meant but this actually meant something. This was like real, like you actually did hold the phone up like this.
Yes.
But that was her comment, was she enjoyed, and then it was very specific. She enjoyed talking to me because she could hear me smiling.
Isn't that profound?
Absolutely profound. Absolutely profound. And I have remembered that my whole life. So that I'm very aware, if at this point, if there's still an actual phone conversation without the visual, I still smile anyway. Yeah. Because it registers in my voice, and that's received.
Well, and I think too, what I hear with you, and what you don't say, because again, you had an impression on me when I first saw you in that room. We were in different rooms, right? We were moving in a different format than Zoom.
Yeah.
And the impression, and this is, the impression was that there's something about that woman. She's feeding her soul. That was the sense I had. As I've said to my staff, my assistant, my admin, in Soulful Mondays, I don't just look to speak to like-minded people. I want to speak to all of humanity, because we all have soul. And that is if it's just a clicky, catchy word, Soulful Monday, okay, it doesn't matter to me. Because for the mundane person out in a 9 to 5, get up, go home, go to work, go to bed, get up, go home, to bed, and they can stop and hear this through audio, see it in video, or whatever, your expression, my expression, our share here in collaboration, and they can just remember, oh, right, I got in this field because it fed my soul. And, that's it. And that's what I heard you say in the, beginning here, that yes, you love the clinical and the scientists and all aspects of that fed you, and that you weren't willing to sell out that creative, expressive dancer, singer. And it radiates off you, Doc. What can I say?
Oh my gosh! Thank you so much for saying that. Oh my gosh! And so I'll tell you a word in flamenco.
Okay.
because you were talking about, is Soulful Mondays, catchy, or,
Yeah.
have
Wait,
you heard this all before,
yeah.
right? That kind of thing. There actually is a word in flamenco, that is the word for this thing that you're talking about, this soulfulness, that radiates, but that not only radiates, but that feeds you as well, so that you are in the moment when you are doing whatever that thing is, right, that makes you radiate, right? And that word in flamenco is duende.
Wait.
Duende. So, yeah, so it's spelled Duen, as in Nancy, De. Duende. Duende. And it's basically flamenco for, being in the zone, um, being in flow, being completely present, and doing that dual thing of radiating while you feed yourself, right?
Mm.
Radiating while you feed yourself. So that, I feel like, finally, right? Finally, 56 years into my time, right, on earth, finally found that duende, where
Mm.
it's like radiate and feed
It reminds me of
simultaneously.
divinity, right?
Yes.
That divinity. It's align the mind and spine to the cosmic consciousness,
Yes.
the flame
Yes.
of God, the spark of spirit, whatever it is that is for you. And then it also has, in the Peruvian language, we call it the ani, the reciprocity, the feeding back, you know. So
Wow.
let me ask you a question as we come to a conclusion here. And thank you so much for all your heart expression, your soul, just your contagious joy. How can we find you? And tell me also, before you give us, how can we? And I'll also tag on your links and give you, a Facebook connection here, so you can post it on your social network. When do you do your classes? Every week? What days?
Yeah. So the classes, like, if you come in live to class on Mondays and Wednesdays, they're at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and I'm based in LA. And Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Like I said a little bit earlier, I record every single class and I post them into our membership, because you can sign up for like single classes if you want to do a drop in, or you can sign up for the full, like, all access subscription membership. And then you'll be able to access, like, any recording. We have, at this point, I think we have hundreds of recordings of classes to do on your own schedule. So you can kind of
Beautiful.
pop in. And truly, from the feedback that I've been getting, even when people watch the recordings, they're still getting all the energy.
Oh, sure.
And it's really because of that, bing, before
Mhm.
I start recording. So, yeah, so those are when the live classes are, but you can access them, on your own schedule.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you. And before we part, as I say, Soulful Mondays has a beautiful soulful menu, and you are definitely one of the, great expressions to what I feel is, to vibrate to the world in amidst of whatever time and spaces we're in the world. Um, no one can take our soul, and no one can take our joy, our happiness, and a simple smile, even if we have a place where we are masked up and we go
Yeah.
peekaboo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is it, what might you depart as we leave here to somebody, some little conscious prayer gift that you might give in your wisdom to the viewer?
Yeah, I would say, go inside. Like, if you're in that place of struggling or feeling lost or feeling confused, right? Feeling down, anything like that, whether it's short term in the moment, or it's been kind of hanging on for a while, you know, just like take a moment and like, you know, go inside, dig deep, and you can even use, this is a lot of what we do in classes, use some kind of a physical movement that will help you to get inside, right? Get inside your body and your mind. So use the movement that I showed you guys. You can scoop deep inside and then mix it up, right? Churn it around a little bit and come out with, you know, ask yourself the questions and then come out with, you know, what do I love to do for people that also makes me feel just as good,
So
right?
also feed you.
Yes, it's that, like you said, that reciprocity, and like we say in flamenco, that duende. That
Duende,
duende.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Duende. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
wonderful. Wow. So thank you so much, Dr. Coco Cabrel, for all your love, your joy, your gift, your spirit. And, you know, for the viewers here, please know you have your gift. Both she and I welcome you to bring your gifts. The time is now. The time is now to soulfully listen to yourself, and go home. Go home here and then sit with all of your amazing abilities, gifts, and I love, you know, write it down on a piece of paper. What do I want to release, let go, and what do I want to bring and manifest into fruition? This is the time now, in this time of Sirius, the star and the portal, the gateway of the lion,
Yep.
to know your thoughts, words, actions will create a pattern that is going to drop seeds into your karma. So yeah, I'm big on the karma and the thinking and the word. I'm a big wordsmith because words hold resonance, vibration. So the language is really important to how it resonates and vibrates. So I thank the viewers that are listening now and those that will listen later. And just hang on for a minute here, Doctor. And thank you all for coming to Soulful Monday. Journey well. Okay. Okay.